link anywhere or no?
No, I'll just let them flow in
Okay.
here. And welcome in. We're alive. And yeah, we have joshylipps with us again today. First
Yeah.
repeat guest.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the first episode of Dynasty Goats. So it's the new name we've given to our Sunday stream. So let us know if you like it. But kind of the idea was that bringing on all these amazing Dynasty Goats like Joshy here. Welcome to the program, Joshy. Thanks so much for joining us again.
All right, thanks for having me. Great to
Absolutely.
be here.
And
Yeah.
you're in SoFi. We're all jealous here.
It's a nice place,
Yeah, you
It's a
got the
nice
whole
place
stadium
to,
to yourself there, it looks like.
chill out with Stafford's wife and
Yeah.
have a good
That's
time.
right. I heard
Yeah, yeah.
she's
Maybe
good to hang out with.
Yeah.
My God.
Who was that backup quarterback or whatever? That whole
Oh
college
yeah,
story.
right.
But
Yeah, she tried to make Stafford jealous was the story, right?
yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
his name? Oh, it's
Can't
just
remember
eluding
now.
me.
It was
Yeah.
like kind of a
I
nobody
know the
thing.
name if we did this in the morning. Like, my mind's much sharper then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be, I don't even know, we're kind of just rolling through, talking about a variety of stuff today. There's not necessarily, plan or direction. It's going to be, free-flowing conversation.
Maybe it's just going to be a bunch of
And,
different trade talks.
yeah,
You already
but we are going to
mentioned
start.
the one.
The one thing we're going to start with is a trade, though. We do have one thing planned, just to start us off, and we're going to be looking
Yeah,
at a trade in the
we
break
did
room.
have more of a plan, but it was based on a specific guest who had to reschedule. But hopefully we get him back on soon. But yeah, Joshy was kind enough to fill in here, so we're kind of just going more with a free-flowing, spontaneous kind of stream. So hope you guys are down for that. We can definitely answer any questions you have in the chat. If you got a question about like your dynasty team or a trade, or you have just a suggestion for what you want us to talk about today, we're totally open to that. But yeah, we'll dive into a trade first. So this happened in the break room. So it's the league we're all in together. Just had the start up a few weeks ago. And this is a trade I made today with Sebastian at Seb Bolton. And yeah, we definitely had some reactions. We had a few reactions to this in the league chat there. So definitely want to hear what you guys think about this trade here.
Dan, do you mind going through how the trade went down? Like,
Oh yeah, totally.
Is this the original offer, or how did it work out?
Yeah, for sure. So
That's always fun to hear.
it pretty much just like happened last night. Oh yeah, so basically I saw that Sebastian put Garrett Wilson on the trade block, and this was at like I want to say it was like 1 a.m. or something like that. It was pretty late. And so, it kind of caught my attention. Like, I don't have any shares of Garrett Wilson, and I do own Justin Fields in this league, as you guys are pretty well aware, I'm sure. And I figured, it'd be fun to get a share of him. It'd be fun to get the stack with Fields. And, I wasn't doing anything else at like 1 a.m. So, I just messaged like Sebastian right away. I was like, hey, what are you looking to get for G Willie there? And he was just like, yeah, not sure. Just kind of want to see what offers might come in. So I sent him an offer. It wasn't the greatest. It was like the 112 and the 209, just to kind of, see where he was at. He declined that, which I don't fully blame him for. That wasn't the greatest offer in the world, but just was trying to get the conversation started, really. And then I eventually sent an offer of like the 112 and 26 first, because I have an extra one that I got in the startup draft. And he was a little more intrigued with that, but he still wasn't sure if we were quite there. I think the main thing is he messaged me and said like he wants someone to replace Garrett Wilson in his lineup. So then I sent like another offer where I had like Alec Pierce kind of thrown in there. Thought that might be interesting in him, as well as like the 2 first. But then I asked for like a pick back. Anyways, he ended up coming up with the idea of replacing one of the first with Jamison Williams. So the actual offer that I accepted, he proposed to me. It was after some discussion and feedback and back and forth. But yeah, the final trade here, I received Garrett Wilson as well as the 206, and I sent him Jamison Williams, the 112, as well as the 209. So basically, it was Garrett Wilson for JMO in the 112, and he did give me a little pick swap in there where I move up 3 spots in the second. So yeah, that's how it went down. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Josh, I'll let you go first here. What do you think?
Hey, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I mean, right after the startup, I like to look at things in startup value. So Garrett
Mhm.
Wilson's going in the middle of the third. JMO's going, what, he goes to the 701-ish, something like that.
Yeah, or
I can
750.
double check.
Um, and the 112 goes in the seventh. So it's basically trading, you know, the mid third for, 2/7.
Mhm.
Um, in a start eight, obviously start nine, and definitely Garrett Wilson. Once you get to start 11, start 12, the depth starts adding up. I
Mhm.
think with this class, the 112 is going to be um, a player that you're going to get flex value out of right away,
Mhm.
potentially, especially if it's the fifth running back. Um, I mean, depending on landing spot, obviously, but I mean, if you count off four wide receivers and five running backs and three quarterbacks, like a couple tight ends, we've already done the math.
Yeah.
There's going to
Right.
be there's going to be a player there that is going to be that's flex worthy. So
Mhm. Yeah.
does that move the needle? Like what's the opinion on Garrett Wilson, right? So I'm of the opinion that Garrett Wilson's going to have a good year. He could have 170 targets. I mean, I'm not saying he will.
Yeah.
I have one share of them. I want to acquire more, and that's because of the reason is I think Justin Fields is going to, you know, target him
Yeah.
often. So I like to trade a lot for you, um, but I can see how it works out for both sides.
Yeah. I
I,
think it's
I
one of
don't
the.
think I don't think you needed to get an extra bump up in the second,
Yeah.
um, personally.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's
but
an
I
interesting
mean,
perspective, especially with like looking at it from a startup perspective. When you put it that way, it does seem like, yeah, like, should Sebastian have gotten a little more there? Um, but yeah, I mean, just thinking of it in terms of like how these players are valued, certainly in terms of how I value them, because I certainly think Jamison Williams is underrated. And I think this trade could really age well for Sebastian because I really don't think, I mean, of course, there's a difference, obviously, between Garrett Wilson and Jamison Williams. Obviously, I wouldn't be paying a first if I didn't think that. But I do think the gap is closer than most people realize. I mean, JMO isn't exactly a household name yet. He's only been good for the 1 year. He started his career out slow. We know why that was. But I mean, he looked phenomenal last year, and there might not be as big a difference between Garrett Wilson and Jamison Williams as people expect. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I am excited about Garrett Wilson playing with Justin Fields. Not that he's the greatest passer, but he did lock onto DJ Moore that one season. DJ Moore had his best year. So I'm hoping he does the same with Garrett Wilson. There obviously isn't much target competition with Devontae Adams out there. They really haven't brought in anyone else that's too notable in free agency. So we'll see if they draft a receiver. I'm not necessarily expecting them to draft a receiver like early. But yeah, hopefully Garrett Wilson gets fed pretty well in terms of the targets. I'm definitely excited about getting a share of him and stacking him with Fields. So yeah, I'm very happy with the trade. At the same time, like I wouldn't be surprised if this trade didn't age well for me. If there's not a huge gap between JMO and Garrett Wilson, and if that player at the 112 ends up being pretty darn good, like I could see myself being like, yeah, like why did I pay that much for what ended up being like a small to moderate upgrade? But hopefully Garrett Wilson is as good as everyone thinks he's going to be.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing with, yeah, I mean, I think so too. This could look better down the road, and meaning basically in season next season. Now, I think the thing is now, of course, Jameson Williams, TBC, and what his future is with the Lions, stuff like that. That's decisions will be needed to be made soon. But the Garrett Wilson is probably like ADP to talent wise. He's probably the lowest player on like the board, I mean, other than maybe like Chris Olave, for like real life talent and like
Mm.
targets, everything like that like to yeah where he's going. Like he really technically, if you were looking at his stuff, in basically if he was attached to like Joe Burrow or something, I would not be surprised if he was a top 15 pick in Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's
Oh
just how
yeah.
good he is.
Mhm.
So he's kind of like if you want a player in Dynasty that's as good as, I mean, yeah, like better than basically every player, that is going, I don't know, like in that range.
Yeah.
But you're paying less for him. Like like Garrett Wilson is one of the weirdest profiles out there, and the thing is, he's been really good, like really good with the worst situations ever. I mean, just bring in, what was it, 21 targets last season in one game. I mean, like.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, in the Vikings game, he had 21
It's a huge
targets, I
game.
believe. It was,
And then
it was
Devontae
insane.
went off.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, maybe could he have had that breakout season if Devontae Adams wasn't brought in, for Aaron Rodgers there. So it'll be interesting to see now with Devontae Adams gone. But of course, we're downgrading at quarterback, at least in terms of a passer, going from even an old Aaron Rodgers to Justin Fields. Like, I would still probably take Aaron Rodgers as a passer even at this point. But yeah, Fields isn't going to be a world beater as a passer, but like I said, hopefully he can at least lock in on his number one target like he did in Chicago. So that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, it's still far from an ideal quarterback situation. I mean, of course, I love Justin Fields for fantasy, but that doesn't mean that, I think he's an amazing passer.
yeah. I mean, I think he can get the job done easily. I mean, honestly,
Well,
it's not like
they're gonna tailor an offense for
Yeah.
him, and they're gonna instill plays. They're gonna promote plays that are in his wheelhouse.
yeah,
You have to figure that, and they're gonna want to get their best players the ball.
yeah.
In my thought.
This is an interesting trade though, because there's quite a few different ways to look at it, and I think the gap maybe between Wilson and JMO in the season, like, okay, it might not look like it might age not as good as it looks right now, because I think it's a really good price for Garrett Wilson. But the thing is, I think in the future, I think like there's potential for this to be just like absolute robbery for Garrett Wilson. And like, anything happens to JMO, he's already torn ACL. I mean, like, there's just like way more ways for JMO to blow up than Garrett Wilson, of course.
Well, I see what you mean, that like Garrett Wilson's dynasty value is certainly more insulated just because of his reputation, and he's just always been highly regarded as a prospect. And
But there's a lot of room to grow with him.
Didn't they get drafted in the same class?
They did,
Was it
yeah.
the same class?
They did, yeah.
And what, Jameson he went to 117? Is that right?
He
17th pick of round one, something like that.
He was the 11th. No, they traded with the Vikings. It was the 10th or the 11th pick. They traded up. It was
Wait, who got drafted first? Was it Garrett Wilson?
Oh, it was Garrett
No,
Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
yeah.
Yeah, no. It went London, right, at the 105 or 106.
London, Wilson, Olave, JMO.
And then JMO. I think JMO was in the late teens.
Yeah.
So
The
he's in the
problem
same
is, like,
class. It's just it was a slow start.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. If JMO didn't have, what was he coming off of the torn ACL, I believe, in his rookie season. If it wasn't for that situation, if he was able to like come into the NFL healthy, normally, and he would have developed a lot faster. And then on top of it, he gets the suspension, actually 2 suspensions, right? So it's just been like there was always something going wrong where he either wasn't healthy, or he was suspended, and then like that's really tough, especially as like you're coming to the NFL, you're trying to like get acclimated to the NFL and like learn a playbook and an offense and get used to the NFL speed and all that kind of stuff, and like that's really difficult to do when you're dealing with like you're not healthy or you're suspended always, it seems like. So I think that really hampered his development, especially his first year, but even into his second year. And though he definitely improved in his second year, especially like the second half of the season, just as a Lions fan, I could just tell like he went from like looking terrible when he was out there to like, oh, he's actually like looking all right out there now. And then even in that playoff NFC Championship game against the Niners, he has like the 2 long touchdowns.
2 years ago is what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, here we go. Like we were finally like seeing some signs of life here. And so like that offseason, I wasn't initially sure what to think of him, but as I really started hearing like the reports about how great he looked in training camp and the coaches raving about him, and the more I thought about it, and about the context of why he developed slowly and that there were reasons for it, like I just knew like he was going to break out in his third year. So in fact, it was one of my bold predictions on this channel a year ago. I said he was going to have 1,000 yards, and that's exactly what he did, even though he missed 2 games with suspension. So it was an impressive season. He looked incredible. But if he had developed faster, if he hadn't been injured and had the suspensions, like he would have a lot more insulated value, probably similar to a Garrett Wilson, because like the only reason JMO doesn't have that is because he was basically a bust his first 2 years.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I think the reason people, well, it's interesting because his value, I mean, he can be undervalued. There's a lot of question marks just about everything. Team situation stuff, I think, is part of the reason why. Like, is he going to stay there? I mean, he's kind of, even though there's a lot of target competition, he's basically in the best scenario possible unless one of those Lions players left or got hurt. I
Yeah,
mean, it
which could
really,
happen.
yeah, it could happen. Um,
Or what if he leaves in free agency? I mean, he's got 2 more years with the Lions because they exercise his 5th-year option. And after that, like, what if someone throws a lot of money at him in free agency and it's like, hey, you're going to be our number one guy on, whatever team? Like, it could even be a better situation in terms of fantasy.
It could be. I would lean that it wouldn't though. Like it's similar to like T Higgins if he left. Like I think it's just it's a perfect match where they are right now. And if you were to
Right.
leave, you're risking. It's kind of like the Debo thing where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
he's gonna work on the Niners, but if he goes anywhere else, like
Yeah, I mean,
how are they
maybe
gonna
the
deploy
odds,
him?
maybe the odds would be in favor of, okay, it's probably going to be slightly worse or whatever. But like, you could get lucky and he lands somewhere great. So you just never know. I mean, we're
Yeah,
just speculating.
yeah. I think the
We
player.
also don't know the usage either, so
Yeah,
how are they going to use them? And it's 2 years out, I'm sure, but
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I mean, yeah, we're looking way too far ahead
yeah,
here.
I
But
will say that, he was a very, very high prospect. Some people had him as the top prospect out of all four of those guys.
mhm,
But because of his injury situation,
right.
he went later. I mean, for him to be injured and go where he went says a lot.
Yeah.
And we forget that because, we're not thinking about that. We're just thinking about production and early production.
Right.
But he was a very, 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 very touted prospect. And
Oh yeah,
so he's
he
coming
had a
into his
ridiculous
own. And
season at Alabama. I think it was his junior year. I want to say he had like 1,500 yards and I think like double-digit touchdowns. I mean, it was an absurd season. I'll look up the stats, but yeah,
but will
continue.
he be used like, like the Chases, like the Wilsons that can get over 160 targets a year? Because that's really where you can have top five
yeah.
production,
Which is what
and you
Garrett
can.
Wilson has been doing, right?
Right.
With his target.
Exactly.
That's
And he
the
just needs a quarterback. That was the
yeah,
whole thing with Aaron Rodgers.
yeah,
It's like he just needs a quarterback. And um, so,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, we haven't
I mean,
seen the
here's the thing,
guy.
also, we don't know you wait to see what they do with their quarterback room, in New York, because they still might draft someone or, who knows what happens. But, you also have the option of selling him if he, you know, gets top five, after this year.
Yeah, yeah. I
He
mean,
could finish top five. He
the
could be, could be a
Garrett
monster.
Wilson.
And
Okay,
the
yeah, I mean
yeah,
he hasn't done that yet though. I mean we've long expected him to have this elite season. Obviously, as we talked about, he's been held back by the situation with the Jets and not really having a quarterback or whatever. So like he was kind of supposed to be that guy that was going to like take that next step and like potentially get into that like Chase and Jefferson kind of range, and it just like didn't quite happen. But like could it still like possibly? I mean, I don't know if he could ever get up to their dynasty value. Like even though he's a little younger, I guess like just the fact that he hasn't done it yet 3 years in, like I don't know. Like I'm not sure if he can ever quite get to that level, but maybe he could get close.
yeah, he
yeah,
could sniff it. The thing with Wilson is that yeah, like all the usage, everything was in there. Like it's just not a matter of really anything of his talent. It's just can they get him the ball? Where there's a lot more questions. The interesting thing about this whole trade is that they're in the same draft class,
Mhm.
both really wide receiver prospects. But I think what boils down this deal of why it was such a good deal for you, especially like in your shoes. But also I'll get to Seb's like side here. Why I don't think it's
Right.
actually that bad is that he ended up. Well, let's look at Seb's part right now. But sorry, but I guess to sum up what I was gonna say is like you're getting Garrett Wilson without from JMO to Garrett Wilson without a first, and even though I think JMO, yeah, you could still go up in value. There's a lot of good stuff. So can Garrett Wilson. So it's not really like a argument of like upside on one player versus the other. They're both are literally the exact same like argument for both players in regards to that. But he didn't get a first for it, and now
Yeah,
technically he
that's the one.
did. Technically he did. He got the 112, but he had to do the 2.6 and 2.9 slot, which I think is actually pretty significant. Like that could be massive because that is, I mean, especially after the draft. Like I can see the 2.6 being an extremely good player where it's just like you might be on the edge of that because it's already like a 2-3 right now, and it feels like that's locked in.
Yeah, I mean, right now it kind of feels like the 203 is like maybe that like kind of like place before which like the tier falls off. So yeah, I mean, it does get
post.
Wait, they
post draft though.
Milrose going to the NFL draft, so maybe there's going to be another player in that top 15.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's going to be receiver, like probably a receiver slip in, kind of like the Pearsall or whatever, this year, whether that's like Jaden Higgins or whoever they think it is. Like, there's just going to be surprises. Like, I think that tier gets extended to like, mid 2-6 now, and potentially, or it's just like you're right there to trade back up in. So that's a pretty.
Some people are really high on Jalen and Trey Harris and Noel, and who never knows. I mean, some people are saying, I just thought Steve Smith say is Royal a first round pick, so you don't know what these teams are going to do. And some teams are talking about 3 running backs. Some guys are talking about 3 running backs going in the first round. You never know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's exactly.
That's going to change our draft, because that's still going to be the top 5. But
there's so many good running back landing spots that there will be, day 2 guys or even round 4 guys that are just like being, especially for the sake of the 2-6 versus 2-9, like that 2-6 could be, the fantasy's favorite, round 4 guy landing as a starter on whatever, team like X. It doesn't really matter. Like, it's just gonna happen. So like that's a pretty big swap. Those are 3 spots. And then the other thing is, if you play the game of like the 112 versus the 2-1, like it doesn't really matter. Like, it's the same pick basically.
Right.
Because especially like I feel like in this draft, like you can just go anywhere you want because it's different positions anyways. So like where last year there was a huge difference between 112 and 2-1.
I mean, we still don't know for sure. Like,
we don't know for sure.
A lot's going to change between now and the NFL draft. So it could be that the 206 ends up being a lot more valuable than the 209. It could be that there's a big difference between the 112 and 201. Like, we just don't know. So, like, there are scenarios where those pairs of picks, or whatever, like end up being close to each other, or you're basically getting the same kind of player. So it might matter. It might not. That's kind of the gamble you take when you make trades like this before the NFL draft. And that's part of the fun with it. By the way, I did look up J-Mo's stats at Alabama. So that was his junior season of college. This was in 15 games played, 79 catches, 1,572 yards, 15 touchdowns, averaged 19.9 yards per catch, basically 20 yards per catch.
Yeah.
Like, that is an absurd season. So, like, I think people really lost sight of that when they were just thinking, J-Mo's a bust or whatever. Like, this was an incredible college receiver, and at Alabama, no less. Like, he wasn't doing this at, like, Holy Cross, like Jalen Coker. No diss to Holy Cross. My brother went to school there, so shout out to the Quakers there. But yeah, I mean, J-Mo was a heck of a prospect, so.
Yeah.
He also had 704 special teams yards.
Very nice.
That season.
Hey, you're going deep there with the stats. I love it.
Oh yeah.
It's on Player Profiler,
So where this deal gets really sneaky for the Dan side though is where if you turn it into 2-1 just because that really changes your perspective when it's just it's the same pick. But now if you're looking at it as it's like the 2-1, all of a sudden like he's not getting a first. He's doing the swap, like from Seb's perspective, he's not getting a first. He's moving back he's moving up. He's moving up 5 spots, then, or whatever, 6, I guess, still. He still is, it's the same thing. But you're just moving up a few spots, and then you're getting a 2-9 back. Yeah, it's like, it gets really muddied just for market value, because if we're, I don't know, that's what we all have to go by, is like market value. For like player.
Oh, I
stuff.
see. You're saying like if you look at the trade as like it's a swap of the 112 and 206, getting the 209 added.
Because what if the 26 and the 112? I can really see that not being too different between the 26 and 112. I know that it will be, but I'm just saying like when we get those running back landing spots and the first round receivers coming in, it'll get muddy. Like it'll be kind of like last year how you could talk yourself into the Ricky Pearsall. It's like, okay, what's the difference between him and the
Yeah.
Trey Benson going. If you,
I mean, it sounds like a little bit of a stretch to me. I mean, we were originally saying like the tier fall off was like after the 112, like maybe 201. Now we've kind of extended it to like, okay, well maybe the 202, 203, and like now we're extended to the 206.
That's all that is pre-draft. I'm thinking post-draft for this one. Like the 12 or whatever players.
Wasn't that what we're projecting is post-draft? I mean,
No. Sorry, I didn't clear it up. Like, if I'm talking about the 13-player thing, like that's just like landing spots, just like completely taken out. That's just like looking at the players of like what you're looking at their profiles. When you get the landing spots in, because we don't, like it's just hard to know. You're looking at the backfields.
Yeah.
You're expecting the surprises. I really do think that 2.5, 2.6 area is going to be extremely attractive. But anyways, I think it'll be extremely attractive. Like I think there's gonna be some good stuff there. So anyways, for the swap, like that 2.6 and 2.9 really muddies up. But I think like my final thoughts on it is just the fact that from Seb's part, if we just pretend the swap's not there, it's something he needed for his team. Yeah, Jameson Williams could go up in value. He could be closer to Garrett Wilson than their value would say. And okay, he gets the 112. He needed that pretty badly. He gets another player on the starting roster, so it's still a good move for him. But it seems like for market value, he probably could have got a better deal, even if it was just the 2.6 and 2.9 out.
Yeah, I mean, if you just let's not talk about the 2.6 and 2.9. The 112 has the chance of that 112 will maintain value for the next 12 months, barring injury. Okay, so from a value perspective, it's insulated, most likely, and he could get he could hit really. What's Caleb Johnson? He goes to the right situation. And he goes to the Steelers, for example, and he's like just this Warren guy. He's getting 30% of the touches, and Caleb Johnson's getting 70%. And because he comes in, he looks like a beast. Now, I'm not saying I'm a Caleb Johnson fan or not, but I'm just saying that's a possibility. And the guy, you're looking at those great running back landing spots in the 206, and you got Sampson or Martinez or whoever else you want to take, Scadaboo, whatever you have in your next tier of guys. They're still only a 50% player, most likely, barring injury. And that's best case scenario. And their value is not going to be as high no matter what. So, I mean, I guess I went back to the 206. So, regardless, my point is that the 112 will at least retain value.
Sure,
at the very least. And it has a chance. And, so.
Yeah, it has a chance to be the best thing in the deal. Right.
Yeah, so. And if we look at the way things the way things played out last year, and I know this is a different year, but like
BTJ went sometimes at the 112.
Exactly.
111.
Exactly. Of course, we told the story recently on the stream about I got the 101 last year in a league, and I gave away Baker Mayfield the 110, 111. The guy ends up drafting Brian Thomas and Bo Nix and absolutely crushed me in the deal, even though everyone said that he had gotten fleeced at the time we made it. So it's like I could certainly see a scenario like that. And I mean, the second round last year was gross. I mean, like, hopefully you took like Penix or Pearsall at the start of the, 201, 202. But like after that, like, I mean, it was really ugly with like how like all those other like second round players turned out for the most part. So it's like, I'm not saying that's going to be the case this year, but if it is, I mean, there's going to be a massive difference between the 112 and 206. So, there are scenarios both ways. I do think there's going to be some difference between the players there. Only time will tell. But I do like the move for Sebastian in terms of splitting up the asset of Garrett Wilson, essentially turning it into Jameson Williams in a late first. I think it could age well for him. And I mean, I think with where his team was at, like, I think he wanted like more pieces. Like he didn't have much depth. I think it made a lot of sense where with this deal, he at least has a chance to compete this season. And he's also set up pretty well for the future. I mean, he's got a ton of 25 picks now at this point. I don't know how he's got, but he's made a few trades. I think he's done a pretty good job managing things since the startup. He also got a 26 first back, which he had previously traded away, although it's not his own now. So he didn't get his own back, but he has a 26 first, which is nice. So I kind of like that he's both like put himself in position where he has a chance to compete this season, and he's set up pretty well for the future. And that's how I like to manage my dynasty teams personally.
Yeah, he really backed himself in the corner. That's why the deal, just even it's close enough in value anyways. So it's a fine deal. He splits it into two assets. And yeah, I mean, honestly, when you're looking at his team, like I don't think the difference between Garrett Wilson and JMO, I don't think it likely is that like insignificant that it even matters. And the fact that he okay now he gets a 112 and like for example he doesn't have an RB3, so now he has a chance to get an RB3 or whatever the hell he wants to do with the 112.
Yeah,
There's a lot of possibilities now, and yeah, he needed that depth really really badly. So
yeah. And by the way, we have Sebastian in the chat here, so glad you could join us, man. Sebastian says, I was also thinking in terms of getting better players for years to come since I got a few old dudes, which is another reason I wanted another pick. Trying to fix mistakes from my past trades in the draft, referring to the startup draft. So, yeah, I think there were some questionable trades in the startup draft, so I do think he's trying to, like, undo that a bit, and I think he's done a pretty good job of it. Sebastian also said, the only thing I really only kind of regret is the swap. Otherwise, I'm kind of okay with it. Plus, F Dakota, so So, yeah, he's saying F Coda. So the story behind that is he was also negotiating with Coda, and I think they were working out some kind of deal where Sebastian was going to get, like, Jaden Reed plus for Garrett Wilson, but according to Sebastian, Coda wasn't offering very much, so... that's what happens. I was able to swoop in there.
Yeah. No, I think the cool part about the deal for Seb is just the fact that this could be a home run with the 112. Like he's taking a chance to do the BTJ.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even though like the deal might seem like, oh yeah, I won it easily or whatever. Like I definitely don't look at it that way. Like I think it was a fair trade. Like okay, maybe you could talk me into like the swap shouldn't have been there. I don't think it's quite as like cut and dried as it might seem. But even if you say that, like, I mean, we'll see if that swap even ends up being a big deal. But regardless, basically getting Jame on the 112, like, I mean, I'm a little nervous about it. I mean, maybe I just have PTSD from that, trade I made in the other league last season with the 101. But I could certainly see it, this trade aging in Sebastian's favor. So we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah.
Right.
It would potentially look better for Sebastian too if it's on the clock and not pre-draft, because we don't know what's there technically right now. Like if it's something really attractive, it's gonna look really good for him.
Yeah, for sure. Were there any other trades we want to talk about recently? Like it doesn't seem like we've had a ton of trades go down in the break room. I think like maybe part of that is because like we just did the startup, so like people kind of drafted what they wanted. Like is that usually you find like what happens after startup drafts?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, sometimes people regret something they do in the draft, but I mean, mostly speaking from my experience, I rarely ever want to do anything after the startup, just because, like, it's not like it's a fast draft or anything. You got plenty of time to figure it out. If you get sniped on a few picks, maybe fix it anyways in the draft. And then now we got the rookie draft coming, so there's other chances to fix your team. I've been speaking from Josh and his team. I'm looking at our team, and I'm just going, I don't know what the hell we would trade, like, in our shoes.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's,
so
what
you
are you
guys
going to do?
Kind of, like, chilling until the rookie draft, and you'll probably, like, make your moves then.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean there's not moves to be made, but it's going to be around the rookie draft time, right, when we get more information.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, because you guys want to hold those picks as long as you can and let them, gain peak value.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have a need, like, speaking from our, like, when we attack, we need a running back, but we have the picks to get running back, so it's like there's not really a team need thing, or I don't know. So
right.
Yeah, not really any reason to get eager and fire off trades.
How about you, Joshy? Like in your other leagues, like what have you been finding lately? Have you been seeing a lot of trades go down? Like I feel like there was kind of a hot period there for a while where like I was making a lot of trades, and it seemed like the kind of the trade market was like really heating up. It seems like it's died down a little bit lately, and I kind of feel like I've like almost like run out of trades to make on my dynasty teams. So I don't know. Like, have you found that at all, or like what have you been doing with your dynasty teams like the past like week or two?
Well, I was telling Blake about an offer that I had in the start 8 league.
Mhm.
It's an orphan I took over, and I have the 101, the 105, the 10 111, and a guy offered me he basically got the 103 for free in a trade that he made,
Okay.
and so he offered me the 103 and the 108
Hmm.
for the 101, and I declined it. I was like, "I wanna see," and now I'm starting to s now I tried to make the trade today, and he says he's gonna keep the 2 players, so
Doesn't that always happen?
think
Like anytime like someone offers a deal and you decline it, and then you go back to them like shortly
yeah,
thereafter, like, okay, I'll do that deal now. Nope, they never want to do it at that point. Like
yeah.
it's just always funny how that happens.
I just think I'm a player I'm a player short. Um, so we'll see. We'll see how it works out. I mean, I'm poor me, I have Ashton Gentry. I mean, it's
Yeah, yeah. Oh, dude. I mean, in a start eight, like I mean, I have to think like you're probably better off like just keeping the 101. Like, I mean, I could certainly see a scenario in which like maybe you still
yeah.
get like 2 studs with the 103, 108, and maybe you just get like 2 studs instead of one. But like, I'm feeling pretty good about Genty. So like in a
Well, I
start
have the
eight, like,
105
I
as
don't think
well.
you
It's
should have
just
too much regret
yeah.
there.
I have Marv in that league, and I have Nico, and but I don't really have a tight end.
Okay,
Um,
so it's like tight end, like the only like hole in your lineup then, like.
no, I need running backs too. My best running back is Jalen Warren. So
Oh, okay. So you gotta
Yeah.
do some upgrading there.
That,
Is it a
that's not
12
it's
league?
it's a non-tight end premium, right?
yeah,
So
correct.
yeah,
And is it? And you
So
said 12 teams in the league or what?
yeah, it's 12 teams.
Okay.
Um, I'm actually probably going to give it up after this year, but it's just not my favorite platform, my favorite format.
Format. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I like the deeper leagues. Like I like at least like start 10, start 11. Like I'd love to even try a start 12. Like we're
yeah.
talking about maybe making the listener league a start 12. Also, by the way, like we haven't mentioned the listener league in a while, but
mm,
we've definitely had some good interest in it. And so yeah, Joshy's going to be in it. We
what's
also
the
have.
this is going to be before the NFL draft. If so, we really got to
Actually,
hunker
I'm not
down
sure.
on
I
it.
think it's probably going to
Probably,
be.
probably end up being after, but we can
Probably
still
gonna
do
end
it.
up.
Oh, it's going to
We
be
can still
after.
include like I actually this is a good topic for just anything Dynasty. I like including rookie drafts still, if you do your startup after the
Okay.
uh,
Interesting.
and the reason why is just like instead of nothing happening for 6 months
Hmm.
or whatever after your startup, now
Yeah.
you have that period again where all the trades are flying and stuff like that, and
And
it's
you could do the
just
rookie. You could do it like in July, the rookie draft.
exactly yeah you could
So
do it
yeah, yeah.
at a different period of time, and then it's just like yeah it's just one more thing to do and more trades, more incentives
Yeah.
for activity,
Hmm.
and the other thing is too is when you get rookies in there, like it's just I don't know, it really messes things up for like people just start reaching on them and like it just makes it even like it's just different from rookie picks. It's hilarious. Like when the rookies are in there, they take
Hmm.
the specific rookie so much earlier than they take the rookie pick.
Yep.
It's hilarious.
Yep.
Which I don't know. I'm not really a
Anyways,
fan.
though, yeah, for the listener league, though, yeah, Josh is going to be in it. Jacob is in it. I think Hawkeyes is going to be in it.
Yeah.
I believe we said that. As well as, of course, Joey Bradley. He was kind of the first member that kind of inspired the idea for it, as well as Blake and I, of course. So yeah, we have at least like well, it's hard to say. I mean, I guess like it depends on like how many like co-manager pairs we do or whatever. But basically, we have like 6 people that are like committed to the league. There might be some co-managers, but yeah, we still got plenty of room in it. So if anyone's interested, definitely reach out to us. You could leave a comment in the chat, but honestly, like the best way is to probably message us on Sleeper. So yeah, my username on Sleeper is at DanFortune500. So just send me a DM on there and just let me know that you're interested in the listener league. And yeah, we
Mm.
might be able to get you in there.
Yep. Yeah. Hopefully we get some more people sign up and we get it on the road for sure.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
should we could I just made a trade for Bucky. I gave the
Oh
108. I think it was a fair trade. I mean, I've seen him go for more obviously, but I gave the 108 for Bucky. And whereas I think that's a good deal, because I think the 105, well, I don't know, 106, 7 and 8 are probably, right in the same range anyway.
Mhm.
Um, but same tier. Um, but when I did that, I now don't have my 108. and I really want that 108. Like we were just talking
Right.
about the 112 before, and
Yeah.
Blake was talking about how there could be a really good player there. There's going to be a really good player at the 108,
Mhm.
and obviously I'm very happy with Bucky, but I don't have very many 108s. I don't have a lot of those mid-round picks right now.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it seems like a pretty good deal, though. I mean, like,
oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
I
I
mean, I
gave
don't
I
know if,
gave
like,
a I gave a mid-third as well, and I
okay.
got back Tucker. But
Oh,
no, it was a good deal.
I love that even more now. I love Sean Tucker. I think he's going to be the handcuff. So yeah,
I
I
do
love
too.
that. I mean, it does suck to lose the 108 and like the flexibility of that and everything, and not to mention just the
Right.
fun of having that pick on the clock. But honestly, I think that's too good of an offer to pass up. I would have accepted that as well. I certainly understand your hesitation, but like I doubt whatever running back you get the 108 if you take a running back would be as good as Bucky. Certainly not out the
No,
gates, if ever.
no.
So I think it's a fantastic deal. I mean, I bought a Bucky share several weeks ago. I basically had to pay like Addison in a first. It was the 112. I basically had to pay the 112 Addison. I got Bucky and like I think it was like the 302. So like I
Hmm.
think I paid more for. I even had to like throw in Wan'Dale Robinson. I guess he doesn't matter like too much, but like I feel like I had to pay more than you did. So I like that deal for you.
Right. No, I like it too. When I did it.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back, guys.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he did that in a league with me, and I own the 109, and so if he didn't, he was talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, that's just whatever, like a no brainer. I'm like, man, if you don't do that deal though, I'm doing it. Like I got the 109, and I actually
yeah.
I saw the guy put up Bucky, but like
Yeah,
honestly,
you could have sent a mid-second with that. He would have taken it.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna go in there and snipe you after you went and told me about it, but I was just like, sometimes there's managers where you see them put a player in the block and you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna like try it, and that was just kind of like one of those scenarios where I'm like, I
Yeah, you were
just
turned off, I'm sure.
I
But
just like
I
I'm not
DM'd him
gonna,
immediately. I was just like, "What do you want for Bucky?"
yeah,
And it was really simple. So
yeah. I
I
wish I had
also,
messaged him because that was,
yeah,
I
I
love
know
that
you
deal.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah, you would have been really happy and I would have been like, "Damn, why didn't I?"
yeah,
Anyway, the it brings up an issue that I have sometimes with this game is being really fluid. Like um, you know, because Bucky was drafted where he was drafted, and I was like, I don't know how many shares of him I really want to have, and like, can he lose the job, and but I just look at what he did at the end of last year. It was, yeah, he was 50% sharing the backfield, from whatever week 10 on or whatever it was, but then the last two games, like White had like one carry,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
they
I think
had the
the last two games, including the playoff game, Rashad
yeah
White averaged 1.5 rushes per game. So like he
yeah
completely vanished. So like I think that
right
was probably a hint of things to come. So Bucky can
right
certainly be a workhorse. We know he can catch the ball. I think he's going to be
yeah.
awesome. Also, Joshy, I heard a great stat about Bucky Irving recently that I think will make you feel pretty good about your trade. At least a fun stat. But basically, only one running back in the last 25 years, one rookie running back in the last 25 years, has met all of these criteria the rookie season: 240 fantasy points, 1,000 rushing yards, 5.2 yards per carry, and 47 catches. So, yeah, the only rookie running back in NFL history that hit those four marks, one Bucky Irving.
Saquon didn't have that his first year.
He
what about
must
the
have missed
catches?
one of those thresholds.
Yeah,
He
He
didn't have
oh,
the
like
catches.
yards
I thought he.
yards per
he probably,
carry or the catches or something.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
probably
Oh, the
yards per
yards per.
carry.
It was the yards
yeah,
per carry,
yeah,
probably.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it may have been like Saquon average
yeah.
5.1 or something
No,
stupid.
five
Like,
point
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Oh my god, that's why they
yeah.
made
So I
that
mean,
stat.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that's like it's like the whatever. Like there's a joke. There's like a bit on Twitter always going, and they're like joking about like in the wind when the temperature's like above 25 degrees and like the wind gust is like at 3 kilometers. Like no player in NFL history has scored more points than like this guy. It's just like it's a funny bit going on when you
Yeah,
get all
yeah. I
those
mean, obviously those
thresholds.
thresholds are
Yeah,
arbitrary and like you basically cherry picked to make Bucky look good there.
But
You know, you can
they're
say that
still
about a
pretty
lot of
impressive.
stats.
Pretty
yeah,
impressive.
It's exactly. I think the point is like not to say Bucky Irving is the greatest running back of the last 25 years, but just to say he's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of
Yeah.
shocked about his startup ADP because I originally thought I'd be like totally out on him, but honestly, like where I've been seeing him go is it's probably just right, is what I'll say. It's just a fine, just a perfect spot for him
Oh
because
yeah,
you
I mean,
don't have to give him an arm and a leg. Or a
yeah,
lot of times.
I was considering him pretty heavily. I believe it was like kind of like the early fourth round range, and it was basically between like, Rashee Rice. I was hoping Devon A-Chain would be there, but I think he got sniped like one pick before me. But basically, three players is kind of the players I was considering, like kind of leading up to that pick. It was like, okay, Rashee Rice, A-Chain, and Bucky Irving. And it's like I would have been thrilled with any of those guys there in the early fourth, I believe it was. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad price to pay.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
he also beats the Damian Pierce allegations for sure, like the year two profile thing. Like
Hmm.
I remember doing startups going in like his second year, and I just like was appalled by his like ADP. There's just no way I was gonna touch him. He was going like literally as early as like the late fourth, basically where Buckley is going right now exactly. In and into the like early mid fifth, and it just like he just didn't catch the ball. Like I liked him as a player. I'm shocked he actually fell off as hard as he did. But it's just like he did not fit the criteria to be a player going anywhere near there, where Bucky
Yeah,
does.
I think Bucky was just like too good as a rookie to like turn into like a Damian Pierce or something like that. I mean, like the stat
Yeah.
I just read certainly says a lot, but also just the fact that like I mean he was just good right from the start. Like even like week one, he like averaged like 6 yards a carry or something. Like I just got that sense right away that like okay, like I probably overlooked
Hmm.
this guy. Like
Yeah.
this guy's probably gonna be good.
It's the pass catching that's huge. Like when you're catching passes,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
hard to not be good at
Yeah.
fantasy. So
Yeah, and how nice is it that he's tied to Baker Mayfield? Not only a really good quarterback, but one that doesn't really scramble that much anymore. So like, yeah, I mean, I imagine Baker has thrown a lot of passes to his running backs over the past couple seasons there in Tampa. And yeah, Bucky Irving's like the workhorse. Like, I mean, he could be like, what who knows? I mean, could he have one of those like legendary running back seasons? I don't think it's out of the
possible.
range of outcomes there.
Jamal Charles.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a fantasy
There's
goat
a-
right there.
yeah,
He was
Mhm.
amazing.
There's a fantasy flashback. Yeah. There's a lot of I mean, Bucky. I think he's actually really fairly priced, and yeah. I mean, I had I messaged that owner. And that's just like the disadvantage of like sometimes when you've tried with the same owner, maybe I don't know, whatever, like 10 times. You look at your trade history; it's just all you sending offers and like
Yeah.
nothing ever back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm just not even gonna try it. Unfortunately, that would have been
I
awesome.
also to give up. Obviously, it's a great deal, so I'm not arguing that point. But I also wanted to encourage trading. I commissioned the league. It's been kind of hasn't been a lot of action for sure.
Yeah.
Blake's buddy Jordan has like six firsts, and he punted year one, and he's basically has a stranglehold. I actually had four, now I have three because I traded with Hoxie, and got a couple firsts, and I had the 11 and 12 from the teams that I sold to. But the it was to encourage trading, and it was to encourage the relationship, and it
Oh
was
yeah.
like he's sending me an offer. I'm gonna do what he wants. I'm not gonna try and get more. I'm not gonna, and it's like it's just to encourage the relationship.
Oh yeah.
um Obviously I was happy with it regardless, but to give up that pick, because I haven't moved any picks except for the 11, well, no, it's not true. I moved the sixth. I moved the 106 in another league. I
Mhm.
moved the 112 and the 106 so far. um
But you're looking
that's
to
not
hang on your
true.
picks.
I moved the 104, but the 104 I tiered up and I got Lamb. And so, I mean, I thought that was quite reasonable. And I moved the 106, and when I moved the 106, I teared up and I got Marv, and I moved the 112. I got uh, Ken Walker for the 112 with
Oh
something
yeah.
else there.
Nice.
So
And
Oh yeah,
then
well,
so like
what did you have to pay for Marv other than the 106?
Marv deal was very. Let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, pull that up. I've been wanting to buy some.
I thought I did really well. This is actually an interesting deal to talk about because it involves Tracy,
Oh,
and I think he's a good guy to talk about right now.
I was
Because
gonna,
I don't think
yeah,
they're
I
gonna,
like that.
I don't think they're gonna draft anyone. And so I gave up. This is no tight end premium. I have Brock Bowers. I gave up the 106 T.J. Hawkinson and Tyrone Tracy for Marv and Chuba.
oh, wow. I love that for you.
I love
Yeah,
that too. I
I mean, that
obviously
seems like a steal.
yeah.
he offered it to me.
I mean,
Um,
I might have considered paying like maybe I wouldn't pay quite that for Marv, but like I don't know if it's too far off. I mean, it feels like you got like Chuba Hubbard for at least like half off there, if not more. But yeah, that's
well,
phenomenal.
I mean, if listen, let's just take Chuba and Tyrone out of the deal because they are a couple rounds apart in startup. But let's just put them aside for now. Marv for the 106 and Hawkinson.
Yeah, I mean, Hawkinson I think is a
Actually,
great buy. So I guess that's pretty fair. So yeah, I guess
yeah,
it's not too far
yeah.
off.
It's what
Actually,
he wanted. He
that's
I
wanted
guess personally, like I
so.
would much rather have Chuba Hubbard than Tracy because I feel like there's like almost zero risk with Chuba getting nuked in the draft, whereas
Mhm,
Tracy like
right.
maybe like, at least like 50-50, I think.
yeah. The sneaky part about that though is
But
if
after they
Tracy
don't draft
survives.
someone,
Yeah,
and we're in week 4 of the season, I think Chuba and
yeah.
Tracy are going to be neck and neck.
It's a good point. That's what I was
But there,
thinking about
but
that. Like,
What are
but
you
there
saying
is
that
risk.
like
That's why I
even if
wanted to
they
bring it up
draft
because
someone that like Tracy will still be the guy at least to start the season?
I don't think they're going to draft anyone. They have so many other needs.
yeah,
Yeah, but if they don't, if they
yeah,
don't draft anyone, then
They
yeah,
could
they could
draft
be
a
very
6th round
similar.
guy.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah, well, I don't care about that, but I'm saying like, yeah, of course, if the Giants don't draft anyone in the first like few rounds, then yeah, Tracy will probably be safe, and I'm sure he'll have a great season.
Yeah.
yeah, and
But there is risk there.
the that's the thing I wanted to bring up. Like if they don't draft anyone, and Tracy goes into the year the start of the season as the lead back, what's his value? Is he a sell candidate at that time? Because he's not going to retain this job forever. I
Right.
mean, some people are in love with him and they think he's just going to have this upward trajectory, and he could. But like, I think his times are. I mean, I think they're just going to hold off
Yeah,
a year. One thing
he's
I
already
actually heard,
25. I don't remember when he turns 26, but yeah, it's not like he's a young guy
Yeah.
either.
they're the same age. You guys did a player comparison with the two of them, right? Was it those two?
No,
No.
it
Ford.
was
It was.
Tracy and Jerome Ford, and then
Oh,
it was
okay. Yeah.
Chuba Hubbard and David Montgomery, I
No,
believe.
Chuba Hubbard and Bucky. Because they.
Oh, Chuba
Yeah.
Hubbard.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, the Giants fans that I talk to, they're like, maybe um, they've made so many mistakes in the front office that
Yeah.
like they don't want to draft someone and say, "Oh, Tracy was a mistake too."
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So if they
exactly
if
what I heard too, and I think that's a really good point. Like, I really think
and
that's
But does drafting a running back in let's say round 3 mean oh yeah that means Tracy was a bust or he's no good or whatever? No, I mean like what's the standard in the NFL these days? Running back by committee, like that. Most backfields are backfield by committee. So like I don't think it looks that bad to take some running back around 3 that complements Tracy and say hey like we want multiple running backs like we want depth there we want 2 guys. They have different skill sets. Maybe they draft more of like a power running back or whatever to complement them. Like, I mean, I think they could certainly sell that.
it's all true, but look at what they did. Like, what was the whole Hard Knocks thing? It was all about Saquon Barkley. They let Saquon
Mhm.
Barkley go, which is literally the running back position, and they filled the need at running back this year with
Yeah,
Singletary and Tracy, and
right.
they barely spent anything on Tracy. So like that is a legitimate thing of like this guy's just
Yeah,
trying to keep his job. If they draft a running back, they like are basically admitting like okay that like we just burnt not like burnt a pick, but like we didn't
Yeah.
find our running back, and like I
Okay.
didn't do my job to like standard essentially.
Yeah.
Like
I
you're
mean that could be a factor. So
is
yeah, I
it,
mean
it's
maybe
certainly
they
a
have other
factor.
needs, and
Yeah,
one idea also is that they could pass on quarterback early, and then if Shador slips, they could come back up until the 110, the 111, 112, whatever,
yeah,
and get him. And so they probably would have to package some other picks in this draft and future drafts to do that.
Yeah.
So they might not have that third, for example. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what my confidence level is that they don't draft a running back. Let's say, do they have I think they have a fourth. They have an extra third, though, too. So that would make you think they're going to go ahead and take they'll have a good chance taking a running back. I actually really like, beyond even, just the whole front office thing. I mean, they just have so many team needs. And here's the thing, too, that you got to consider. Everyone keeps pushing all these running backs into day 2, like thinking everyone's going to go. Every running back's going to go day 2, apparently. Tootin's gonna slip in. This guy's gonna slip in. Gore, they can't all go.
Day 3.
And here's the thing: I did almost think like less will go than people think, because when there's such strength at a position, why are you unless you love the guy, which hopefully you should if you're drafting him. But why are you reaching up? You can get this a guy just as good basically in the 5th round kind of thing.
That's the funny thing is that the running back class being so great could actually hurt the draft capital.
It will.
Because every time a team's on the clock, they're like, 8 to 10 running backs here available that would be thrilled to get.
Yeah.
Let's wait one more pick or one more round before we take that running back. And then, other teams keep doing that. And then, they keep getting pushed down. And then maybe you have a million of them going on day 3. Maybe there ends up being this huge run of this big run on running backs in round 4 or 5 where it's just okay, the dominoes start falling, and they're like, oh, okay, here the running backs go. Now we gotta get ours. So I could see something crazy that happen.
Yeah, I think everyone in round 4 and especially round 5. I think you should just count round 5 as a round 4 draft capital this year. Like seriously, because think about how we draft and how teams would draft the exact same as us. Mm-hmm. When we were on the Dynasty, imagine on our rookie draft, there's all these running backs, but there's there's that one receiver. There's such a big tier drop off. Yeah, you're not going to go take that running back. It's the same as all the other ones after. Yeah, you are going to take the other position, and then you'll go get one of the other guys later. It just doesn't really make sense, I guess. Of course, teams do things that make no sense all the time. So that's what I mean. There's still definitely great risk that they just take one. Mm-hmm. But from a logical standpoint, there was really no reason for them to be taking a back before legitimately round 4, maybe in 5, and again 6. There might be a good back at 6. So I think they'll bring one in. I don't feel very confident they're gonna bring one in before round 4. And guess what? I know Tracy is basically we kind of marked him as a sell on our comparison, even though just because the whole video and the numbers, and there's a lot of risk there.
And the fumbles.
That is another big one. But here's the thing. No one's buying him. Literally, I own 3 of them. No one cares about Tyrone Tracy. So he's almost becoming a buy. I would almost argue he is a buy.
Well, there are a few people that like him, actually. That trade I made, he's already traded Tracy away.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And to a guy that actually, he's I only wanted Tracy on your team, so we don't have anything to talk about.
Yeah,
wow.
I was able to trade Tracy away for David Montgomery in 2 different leagues. So I was very happy with that because Montgomery just feels a lot safer to me. There's I can't imagine the Lions drafting a running back aside from one of the 6th, 7th round or something like that. So I feel good. So if you can upgrade, pay a small price or even straight up go from Tracy to either Montgomery or Chuba Hubbard, I personally would do that in a heartbeat because it feels like there's zero risk with those 2 guys.
Yeah. I mean that might be the deal if I want to get off of Tracy. I've been trying to get off of Tracy, all of them at various points. I've had zero interest in it. It's the same thing every time. I actually have been getting this with Jalen McMillan too, where it's I know that they brought back Godwin. I'm not pretending that in the price. Obviously that's factored into his price right now.
Yeah.
It's people, just because, I don't know, their profile, people just don't, I don't know, they're double counting a Godwin coming back, or they're double counting this potential to get blown up for running back. No, in a startup, the Tracy thing is a whole different conversation. But you're not getting a mid-second for him right now. Not in my leagues. The ones I own him, it's not even possible. So he's now reaching into late second territory for in the leagues I own him. So maybe it's gonna
The question
transfer.
is like, could you actually buy him for that?
That's
like,
what
is
I
it
mean.
one of those things where like, you can't get the early to mid second, but as soon as you send another Tracy manager the late second, he's declining it. So it could be something like that.
It probably is. Yeah, no, it definitely is like that, but you never know. You might just find that one league where
maybe you could give a late second and like a throw in, and just kind of like if you could entice the manager enough, you might be able to get a nice deal like that. So it could be worth trying. So yeah, I could see Tracy becoming a buy here at some point if he's not there already. But like, yeah, I personally wouldn't want to pay more than like a late second and like a kind of meaningless throw in.
Yeah, but yeah, he's actually is like sneakily one of the biggest potential risers post draft.
Yeah,
because Chase Brown, I don't think Chase Brown can. I don't think they're actually going to draft a running back. Is kind of where I'm at, or a notable one. But he can't be a riser. He's already like being drafted and traded at his max at some moment.
But you don't think that the Bengals are going to draft a running back?
Not a notable one, I don't think. They invested everything into their offense. They are just absolutely trash at defense. I can't imagine that they spent like a day two pick.
Their defense is just pitiful.
Yeah, it's the same argument with Tracy basically. Like, why would they spend a day two pick on a?
Well, their defense is actually good, but they're front seven. But that's another story.
Yeah, the stats, the points against.
Pretty sick actually. After they draft.
But Blake, in terms of Tracy could like rise in value after the draft if the Giants don't really take a significant running back. What would that look like though? Because like what I'm thinking is like I don't know if he's going to become worth a late first at that point. But I think what could happen is that like whereas like you basically can't get an early second for him. You can maybe at best get like a late second. All of a sudden, they don't take a running back. Now you can actually get that early second that he was supposedly always valued at, but in real life, in real leagues, he really wasn't.
Yeah, allegedly valued at that, which is not true. In most, at least in the real leagues that we're in.
Yeah.
Right. But you could easily get that. And honestly, like, the age thing, like, I won't even get into, like, should he be worth a first or not. Like, he was easily worth a late first at one point during that season last year. Or at worst, like, the 201. In fact, I was trying to get him off Josh in the league, and, like, I don't think the 201 was good enough for him because I had the guaranteed 201 in that league. I can't like 100% remember if that was like the offer, but
yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you bring that up, Blake, because you were talking about how the 112 could be really looked at the 201, and you were talking about how the 201 could really be looked like the 112 last fall.
That's right. It's the same thing. It's all the same.
Goes both ways for you.
Exactly.
Hey, whatever suits his argument at the time,
No, but that's the same thing, though. The 112 is the same as the 201. That's the same argument. It's the exact same for both.
It was different meaning on both in both contexts.
I know. It's the same thing. But that's the most fun thing for a trade, though, is literally if you just flip it one spot to change the round. I mean, it really changes your outlook on a trade when it's generally
it's like that number that's in front of the pick you're sending, whether it's a 1 or a 2. Like we know what a huge impact that has on the perception of that pick's value as perceived by the other manager you're trying to deal it to.
Yeah. So I always use that when I'm looking at deals. Like if I'm never looking at it like it's the 112, or I'm always looking at it like it's 201 or whatever, vice versa.
You're saying like the 201 is really the 113 effectively.
Yeah, like literally anytime I'm looking at a deal, like your one with JMO, I'm not saying that's the 112. I'm saying that's the 201. And when I'm looking at a deal where whatever, it's the 301, I'm not calling that the 301. I'm calling that the 212. Just to get your other perspective on the, like, just to...
So you're basically going to view it as, like, the opposite of what it is, just to kind of remind yourself of, like, kind of the other side of the coin there and how you could effectively view it.
Yes, because you might think it's a fair deal, but then you're looking at, especially when you're talking first...
Yeah, I think that's an interesting suggestion there because, like, I think that's kind of a good test to ask yourself, like, would I be viewing this trade differently if it said 201 instead of 112, or if it said 112 instead of 201? I think that's a good question to ask. Yeah.
And oftentimes, like, that's why I do it, is that, or when I'm saying to Joshy, like, dude, the 201's first, like, it literally is, you know what I mean? Like, it is a 113. So, I mean, when I'm trading for the 201 or something in a deal, that's how I'm looking at it. So it's it suits the argument, but that's also how I look at all these deals and how I, value things. So. It's a good thought exercise.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I also think, I mean, total tangent, but I also think like the 201 in some way. I mean, it depends. You can look at any pick like this, but
Yeah.
like if you look at the 201 from one perspective, that okay, you're out of the first round, and now like I'm just gonna reach on a guy that I can get at the 204. Let's say you can't trade back. You know, what if it's Penix? Or because Penix went as late as a 204, 205, 206, right? You
Mhm.
just say, I'm gonna lose a little bit of value here. Just gonna reach and get whoever I want right now, whether that's Pearsall or Penix or whomever, and and because I'm confident this is going to be my guy because he's going to really be worth a first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, if you really have that opinion, it doesn't matter who you take there. We always want to eke out more value and move back a little bit, obviously, and then say,
Yeah.
okay, like I got an extra third out of that, or I got a future second or third or something. But
Right.
you can't always do that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you could be
But
tempting fate if you think Penix is like really worth a late first and he's sitting there at like the 204, but like you think you can trade back a pick or two and still get him, like you're definitely playing with fire there. So like
you are,
usually like I
you
feel
are
like you get burned when you get too greedy like that, but
right.
there are times you
I
might
mean,
want to take a calculated risk.
I think yes. I think my point is that in the first, it's prudent to always take best available within
Mhm.
tier.
Right.
And unless you really, really need a positional need that is in the same tier.
Okay.
So,
But
otherwise
even
it's,
then, like yeah, I think
you
you got to be
otherwise you're
careful
losing
because like
value, right?
what's that?
Otherwise you're losing value.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you got to be
If
careful because, like, if you take a position, even if you think it's basically in the same tier, but you do feel like, okay, you know what, I do have more confidence in the talent or landing spot or whatever of like one player over another, but I'm going to take the other guy because I need that position. Like, I still think you can get into trouble because, like, if it turns out that like the guy you took ends up being awful and the guy you thought was in the same tier ends up being like, great, like, you're never going to forgive yourself for that. So unless like you play in a league where there's just like no trade market, I do think
mm,
you're probably best off just like even if it's in the same tier, just like go with the best player. You can always make trades, but I certainly understand like yeah, I'm not saying I've never done that. So yeah, I think if it is within the same tier, you could go position, but just be careful.
well, I mean, like let's look at we made a deal in Walter White's during the rookie draft after the startup. And
Yeah.
I came up. You got your second back that I got from you earlier before the startup,
Uh huh.
and I moved up a pick or two to get Bowers.
Okay.
Okay, I wanted to draft Lad more than anything.
Oh, that's that
I
was,
wanted to get my guys, but Bowers was a tier above them,
Okay.
and I felt if I was coming up, if I was going to pay to come up, I have to take the
Yeah.
tier. It's
Yeah.
important. Especially if you're going to pay to do it. Now we're looking back and Lad did great and all this stuff, but um, that's the point I'm making, I think.
Oh yeah, if they're in different tiers, like yeah, absolutely. Like I mean, you want to take that last guy in the tier, and yeah, especially if you trade up and pay a second or whatever to get there. Like yeah, you're certainly not at that point going to be like, oh no, I need wide receiver more, and I do like Ladd, so I'm going to take him here. Like no, that wouldn't make any sense. Like you probably could have got Ladd if you had just stuck where you are, and you could have kept that second. So yeah,
Right.
yeah. Is there anything else we want to talk about here? I do think we were gonna possibly make it a shorter stream tonight. Would this be a good place to wrap it up here, guys? What do you think?
yeah, yeah, I suppose so. We'll do a quicker one. Yeah, this time that was a lot of fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chen
Yeah,
Dynasty.
thanks for everyone that joined us. We got 6 people here still watching, so thank you so much for joining us on the stream. Um, yeah, if you have any last question here, you can try to squeeze it into the chat real quick. If we see it before we sign off here, we'll certainly answer it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything. Joshy, thank you so much for joining us. Great having you as always.
Yeah, great to be here.
yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have
For
to
sure.
when we get the chance there because I think we got a couple people lined up there, right, Dan?
yeah.
Still
So let's see.
to
On
come.
Thursday, I believe we are going to have on at Hey Matt Hey. So
Okay.
I'm excited for that.
Mm.
And
Let's
yeah,
make a deal.
yeah, let's make
Let's
a
make a
deal.
deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm sure we'll be talking some Seinfeld and definitely some Dynasty. But yeah, Matt's hilarious. So really looking forward to meeting him and having him on here. So yeah, tune into that. Oh, and yeah, I did say Thursday. Obviously, normally we do Dynasty and beers on Wednesday. But yeah, for Matt's schedule, we're making a little adjustment. So we probably won't be streaming Wednesday evening as usual. I mean, who knows? Maybe Blake and I end up doing it if we feel like it. But most likely, it's just going to be Thursday, and then of course Sunday as always. So yeah, definitely tune into that. Really looking forward to that stream. And yeah, I don't see any other comments in the chat, so we're going to sign off here. Thank you for joining us again. Hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll see you on the next stream.